The alien warlord Zexkar stood on the command bridge of his flagship and stared at the view screen with hungry yellow eyes. Before him floated a human starship that looked badly damaged and helpless. The vessel drifted slowly through the asteroid, filled with dark engines and a hull covered in blast marks and scorch patterns. Smoke leaked from several holes in its side, and the ship seemed to tumble slightly as if its stabilizers had failed. "Perfect," Zexkar whispered to himself as his long forked tongue flicked out to taste the air. His reptilian features twisted into what passed for a smile among his kind. This was exactly the kind of easy prey he had been hunting for. A crippled human ship with no way to escape, and probably a scared crew inside, waiting to die. His fleet of 12 warships had positioned themselves in a wide circle around the human vessel. Each ship bristled with plasma cannons and torpedo tubes. The Korath Empire had built these vessels for one purpose: to hunt and destroy. Zexkar had used this same formation to capture dozens of ships from weaker species. Today would add another victory to his long list of conquests. "Commander," called his tactical officer from across the bridge. "The human ship appears to be sending out distress signals. Their communications are very weak, though. It looks like their main transmitter is damaged." Zexkar nodded with satisfaction. "Good. That means no other human ships will come to help them. Have you detected any weapon systems still working on their vessel?" The tactical officer checked his instruments carefully. "Very few, sir. Maybe one or two small guns at most. Nothing that could threaten us. Their main cannon appears to be completely offline, and their missile systems show no power readings." "Excellent," Zexkar said as he walked closer to the view screen. "Signal all ships to maintain position. I want to enjoy this moment. It has been too long since we captured a human vessel intact. Their technology will bring us great profit when we sell it to the highest bidder." On the bridge of the human ship UE Scifiant, Captain Jake Morrison stood calmly behind his command chair and watched the alien ships through his own view screen. He was a tall man with graying hair and steady blue eyes that had seen many battles. His uniform was neat and clean, despite the fake damage reports his crew had been broadcasting for the past hour. "Sir," said Lieutenant Commander Lisa Brown from her position at the tactical station, "all enemy vessels are now in position. They have us completely surrounded, just as we expected they would." Morrison nodded without taking his eyes off the alien ships. "Perfect. How are our systems holding up, Danny?" Chief Engineer Danny Walsh looked up from his control panel with a grin on his face. "All systems are running at full power, Captain. The damage to our hull is just cosmetic paint and some metal plating we attached before we arrived. Our engines are ready to go to maximum speed at any second. Our weapons are fully charged and our shields are at 100%. We just look like a broken ship from the outside." "Outstanding work," Morrison said. "Amy, what about our communications?" Communications Officer Amy Carter turned around in her chair to face the captain. "Sir, I've been sending weak distress signals just like you ordered. To anyone listening, it sounds like our main transmitter is barely working. But actually, I'm using a very low power setting on purpose. Our real communications array is ready to send full-strength signals to the fleet whenever you give the order." Morrison smiled slightly. "Good. Now we wait for them to make their move. Lisa, are you tracking all 12 enemy ships?" "Yes, sir," Brown replied as she studied her tactical display. "They are maintaining a standard attack formation. 3 heavy cruisers, 6 destroyers, and 3 light frigates. Based on our intelligence reports, each ship carries between 50 and 200 crew members. We estimate about 1,500 total enemy personnel." "And they think they have us trapped," Morrison said quietly. "Amy, open a channel to the alien commander. Let's see what he has to say." Carter worked at her console for a moment. "Channel open, sir. You're on screen now." The view screen flickered and then showed the bridge of the alien flagship. Zexkar stepped forward, and his massive reptilian form filled most of the screen. His yellow eyes glowed with cruel intelligence, and his mouth was full of sharp teeth. When he spoke, his voice was deep and rough like grinding stone. "Human vessel, you will surrender immediately. Your ship will be claimed as salvage for the Koreth. Empire, your crew will serve as workers in our mining colonies for the rest of their short lives. You have no choice in this matter." Morrison kept his expression completely neutral as he responded. "I'm afraid we cannot accept those terms. Perhaps you should consider withdrawing from this system while you still can." Zexkar's eyes widened with what looked like genuine surprise. Then he began to laugh. It was a harsh sound like breaking glass. "Withdraw? Human, you must be suffering from oxygen loss to your brain. Look around you. 12 of our finest warships surround your pathetic damaged vessel. Your engines are dark. Your weapons are offline. Your hull is breached in multiple places. And you suggest that we should withdraw?" "That would be the smart choice, yes," Morrison replied calmly. "Smart?" Zexkar snarled. "I will show you what smart looks like, human. When we are finished with you, pieces of your ship will drift in this asteroid field forever as a warning to other humans who think they can travel safely through Koreth space. Your species is weak, and your technology is primitive. You should have stayed in your own small corner of the galaxy." Morrison glanced around his bridge at his crew. Each officer was calm and ready at their station. "You have 30 seconds to change your mind and leave this system peacefully. After that, we will demonstrate why attacking human vessels is generally considered a fatal mistake." Zexkar's laughter grew louder and more harsh. 30 seconds? Your arrogance is almost admirable, human. Very well. We will take your ship by force and use your broken bodies to send a message to the next human crew we encounter. All ships prepare for attack. Target their engines first. I want them alive when we board their vessel." The transmission ended, and Morrison turned to face his crew. "All stations report ready status. Lisa, send the signal to Admiral Kane. Danny, bring our engines to full power, but keep them looking dark from the outside. Amy, prepare to broadcast our message on all frequencies." "Systems ready, sir," came the replies from around the bridge. Morrison settled into his command chair and watched the alien ships begin to move into attack formation. "Gentlemen and ladies, today we remind the galaxy why humans survived long enough to reach the stars. Let's show these aliens what happens when they mistake kindness for weakness." Zexkar watched his ships move into attack formation and felt the familiar thrill of an easy victory. His 12 warships spread out in a deadly pattern around the crippled human vessel. Each ship powered up its weapons and prepared to strike. The plasma cannons glowed bright blue as they charged up, and the torpedo tubes loaded their most powerful warheads. "All ships report ready to fire," announced his weapons officer from across the bridge. "Target locks acquired on the human vessel's engines and weapon systems. They will be completely helpless in 30 seconds. "Excellent," Zexkar replied as he gripped the arms of his command chair. "Begin the attack. Show no mercy. These humans need to learn that traveling through our space has consequences." But as his ships moved closer to the Defiant, something strange began to happen in the space around them. The darkness between the stars started to shimmer and bend like heat waves rising from hot ground. At first, it was barely noticeable, but then the effect grew stronger and more obvious. "Sir," called the tactical officer with confusion in his voice, "I'm detecting some kind of energy distortion in the area around us. The readings don't make sense. It's like there's something out there, but our sensors can't identify what it is." Zexkar frowned and leaned forward in his chair. Explain. What? Do you mean something is out there? Our sensors would have detected any ships in this area when we arrived. The space around us is empty, except for asteroids and debris. That's what I thought too, sir, the officer replied as he worked frantically at his control panel. But these energy readings suggest otherwise. It's almost like there are large objects nearby that our instruments can't see properly. The readings are getting stronger by the second. Before Zexkar could respond, the space around his fleet erupted in brilliant flashes of light. The shimmer effect suddenly stopped, and what had appeared to be empty space revealed itself to be filled with massive human warships. One by one they became visible as their cloaking systems shut down. Directly above Zexkar's flagship appeared the largest human ship he had ever seen. It was twice the size of his own vessel, and covered with weapon ports and armor plating. Along its hull were the words UESIS Titan, and below that, Admiral Kane commanding 3rd. Fleet. To the left and right of the Titan appeared 3 more huge ships that dwarfed his heavy cruisers. Their hulls were painted dark gray, and they bristled with cannons and missile tubes. Behind them came smaller ships that were still larger than most of his destroyers. In total 13 human ships now surrounded his fleet. They had been there, all along, hidden by technology that made them completely invisible to Korath sensors. The trap had been perfect. The humans had used their damaged ship as bait, knowing that Zexkar and his raiders could never resist what looked like easy prey. Impossible, Zexkar whispered as he stared at the tactical display that now showed enemy contacts all around his position. How long have they been there? Why didn't we detect them? His sensor officer was pale with fear as he checked and double-checked his instruments. Sir, based on these readings, they've been in position for at least 2 hours. Their stealth technology is far beyond anything in our databases. We never had any chance of detecting them until they chose to reveal themselves. The communications panel began flashing with incoming messages. Before Zexkar could respond, a new voice filled his bridge. It was calm and controlled, but carried the authority of someone used to being obeyed without question. This is Admiral Robert Kane of the 3rd Human Fleet. You are completely surrounded and outgunned. Power down your weapons immediately, and prepare to surrender your vessels. You have exactly 30 seconds to comply. This is your only warning. Zexkar felt rage building in his chest as he looked at the human ships surrounding his fleet. His pride would not allow him to surrender to inferior beings, even if they had somehow gained a temporary advantage. The Korath Empire had never retreated from battle, and he would not be the first commander to do so. Sir, his weapons officer said nervously, what are your orders? The human ships all have weapons targeted on us. Their firepower is at least 3 times greater than ours combined. I don't care, Zexkar snarled as he stood up from his command chair. We are warriors of the Korath Empire. We do not surrender to anyone, especially not to weak humans. All ships attack formation. Target their largest vessel first. Show them that we are not afraid of their numbers or their technology. On the bridge of the defiant Captain Narration watched the alien ships begin to form an attack pattern despite being completely outmatched. He shook his head sadly at their foolishness. The trap had worked perfectly, but the aliens were too proud to accept the reality of their situation. Amy, broadcast this message on all frequencies so every ship in both fleets can hear it, Morrison ordered. Admiral Kane, the enemy commander has chosen to fight rather than surrender. All human vessels are cleared to engage at will. Rules of engagement are weapons free. Protect yourselves and show no mercy to anyone who fires on human ships. Message sent, sir, Carter replied. All fleet vessels are acknowledging and moving to battle positions. Danny Walsh looked up from his engineering station with excitement. In his eyes, Captain, all our systems are now at full power. The fake damage to our hull is falling away, and our real armor is showing underneath. Weapons are fully charged and ready to fire." "Outstanding," Morrison said as he settled back into his command chair. "Lisa, target the alien flagship. Let's cut the head off this snake before the battle really begins." Brown worked quickly at her tactical controls. "Target locked, sir. Main particle cannon is ready to fire. All secondary batteries are also targeted and ready." Morrison watched as the alien ships continued their futile attack approach. They had no idea what kind of firepower they were about to face. Human military technology had advanced far beyond what most alien species realized. These raiders were about to learn a very painful lesson about underestimating humanity. "All ships, this is Admiral Kane," came the voice over the communication system. "Execute attack pattern Delta. Time 2. Show these aliens why humans don't make good victims. Fire at will." The space battle erupted with a violence that shook the very asteroids around them. Zexkar's ships fired first, sending streams of bright blue plasma racing across the darkness toward the human fleet. The alien weapons looked impressive as they cut through space, but the humans had been ready for this moment for a very long time. The massive used Titan responded instantly as its point defense systems came online. Hundreds of small laser turrets tracked the incoming plasma bolts and destroyed them with precise bursts of concentrated light. What few shots managed to get through struck harmlessly against the ship's powerful energy shields. The human flagship didn't even shake from the impact. "Admiral," Kane's voice echoed across all communication channels as he coordinated the human response. "All ships execute pattern Delta as ordered. Destroyers move to flanking positions. Heavy cruisers target their largest vessels. Show them how humans fight when cornered." The human fleet moved with a coordination that amazed even Zexkar despite his growing fear. Each ship knew exactly where to go and what to do. The 4 destroyers broke formation and raced between the alien vessels at incredible speed. Their engines left bright trails of light as they darted through gaps in the Koroth formation that seemed impossibly narrow. The destroyer UES Phoenix was the first to strike. Its railgun system charged up and fired a solid metal projectile at nearly the speed of light. The shot punched completely through a Koroth frigate from front to back. The alien ship exploded in a ball of fire and debris that scattered across several kilometers of space. Its crew of 60 warriors died without even knowing what had hit them. "Impossible," Zexkar whispered as he watched his ships begin to die. Around him, their weapons are too powerful. How can such small human ships destroy our vessels so easily? His tactical officer was frantically trying to coordinate return fire, but the human ships moved too fast, and their weapons hit too hard. "Sir, their technology is far more advanced than our intelligence reports indicated. These are not the primitive humans we were told to expect. Their ships are faster, stronger, and better armed than anything in our fleet." The heavy cruiser USS Nebraska opened fire with its full battery of antimatter torpedoes. The weapons streaked across space like falling stars and struck 2 Koroth destroyers simultaneously. The antimatter warheads created explosions so bright they lit up the entire asteroid field. When the light faded, both alien ships were gone, leaving only expanding clouds of hot gas and twisted metal. On the bridge of the defiant Captain Morrison watched the battle unfold with professional calm. His ship had not yet fired its main weapons, but smaller turrets around the hull were picking off alien fighters and missiles with deadly accuracy. Chief Gunner Pete Collins sat at his weapons control station waiting for orders to engage the main targets. "Pete, target the alien flagship," Morrison commanded. Time to show their commander what human engineering can accomplish. Collins smiled grimly as he worked at his controls. "Target locked, Captain." Main particle beam cannon is charged and ready. This shot should get their attention. Fire at will. The Defiant's main weapon was a masterpiece of human technology. It gathered energy from the ship's fusion reactor and focused it into a beam of pure destruction that could cut through almost any known material. The weapon fired with a sound like thunder and sent a lance of brilliant white energy across the battlefield. The beam struck Zexkar's flagship directly in the center of its hull. The alien ship's shields flared bright purple as they tried to absorb the massive energy discharge, but they were simply not strong enough. The shields collapsed in seconds, and the particle beam continued straight through the ship's armor plating. Explosions rippled along the length of the Korath vessel as internal systems overloaded and failed. The bridge shook violently, and sparks flew from control panels all around Zexkar. Half of his crew was thrown to the floor as the artificial gravity systems fluctuated wildly. Damage report. Zexkar shouted over the noise of alarms and emergency signals. Hull breached in 17 locations, his damage control officer reported. Main engines offline. Weapons systems operating at 30% power. Life support is failing on decks 4 through 8. We're losing atmosphere fast. Meanwhile, the rest of the human fleet continued its devastating attack. The destroyer UE's Lightning had positioned itself behind 3 Korath vessels and was systematically destroying them one by one with precise railgun shots. Each impact sent another alien ship tumbling out of control with its hull cracked open like an egg. The heavy cruiser Hughes Montana unleashed a barrage of guided missiles that sought out the fastest-moving enemy ships. The Korath pilots tried to evade, but the human missiles were too smart and too fast. They adjusted course instantly to match every defensive maneuver and struck their targets with perfect accuracy. Danny Walsh monitored the battle from his engineering station aboard the Defiant. Captain, all our systems are operating at 100 and 15% of normal capacity. The aliens simply cannot match our rate of fire or our targeting accuracy. Their weapons technology is probably 50 years behind ours. How many enemy ships are still fighting? Morrison asked. Lisa Brown checked her tactical display carefully. 7 alien vessels are still operational, sir, but most of them are badly damaged. 3 ships have already tried to surrender, but the others are still shooting at us. 5 enemy vessels had been completely destroyed with no survivors. The battle was turning into a complete massacre. Human ships darted through the alien formation like deadly fish swimming through a school of helpless prey. Every shot they fired found its target, while the Korath return fire was increasingly wild and desperate. Amy Carter suddenly looked up from her communications console. Captain, I'm receiving multiple surrender signals from the remaining alien ships. They're requesting immediate ceasefire and asking for medical assistance for their wounded crews. Morrison studied the tactical display showing the 7 surviving enemy vessels. All of them were drifting with massive damage, and most had stopped firing their weapons. The brief battle was essentially over, and humanity had won another decisive victory. Signal all human ships to cease fire, Morrison ordered. Tell the alien vessels to power down all remaining weapons and prepare to be boarded. Any ship that tries to run or fight will be destroyed immediately. The silence after the battle felt strange and heavy. Where moments before there had been the thunder of weapons and the bright flashes of explosions, now there was only the quiet hum of ship engines and the soft beeping of control panels. 7 Korath vessels drifted powerless in space with their weapons offline and their crews waiting to learn their fate. Admiral Kane stood on the bridge of the UES Titan and surveyed the aftermath of the brief but decisive engagement. 5 alien ships had been completely destroyed, leaving nothing but debris fields and the faint traces of their final moments. The surviving vessels looked like broken toys floating among the asteroids with hull breaches and dead engines. Status. Report, Kane ordered as he walked between the bridge stations checking on his crew. All human ships report minimal damage, sir, replied his tactical officer. The UES Lightning took a single plasma hit to their rear armor, but it caused no significant problems. The UES Phoenix reports some minor system overloads from rapid firing, but nothing that affects combat readiness. Total human casualties are 3 minor injuries and 0 deaths. Kane nodded with satisfaction. And the alien casualties? Much heavier, sir. We estimate over 600 Korath dead from the 5 destroyed vessels. The 7 surviving ships have approximately 400 crew members still alive, but many are wounded and need immediate medical attention. Their flagship appears to be in the worst condition. Prepare boarding parties, Kane commanded. I want every surviving alien vessel secured within the hour. Send medical teams with each boarding group. We'll treat their wounded the same way we would treat our own people. Colonel Jack Turner led the first boarding party onto Zexkar's damaged flagship. The Marine colonel was a veteran of dozens of similar operations, and his team moved through the alien corridors with practiced efficiency. They found scenes of destruction everywhere with broken equipment and injured crew members scattered throughout the ship. The Korath warriors they encountered offered no resistance. Most were too badly hurt to fight, and the rest seemed stunned by the speed and completeness of their defeat. Turner's medics immediately began treating the wounded aliens, despite the fact that these same beings had been trying to kill them just minutes earlier. They found Zexkar on what remained of his command bridge. The alien warlord was trapped under a fallen support beam, with green blood seeping from multiple wounds. His yellow eyes still held their fierce intelligence, but now there was something else there too. Confusion, and perhaps even a hint of respect. Human, Zexkar whispered as Turner approached. Why do you not simply finish me? In our culture, defeated enemies are killed or enslaved. You have won a total victory. My life is yours to take. Turner knelt beside the injured alien and began checking his wounds. Because we're not you. Human Marines don't kill helpless prisoners. And we don't leave wounded beings to die if we can help them. Doc, get over here. This one needs immediate attention. Dr. Helen Grant was the fleet's chief medical officer, and she had volunteered to accompany the boarding parties despite the potential danger. She quickly examined Zexkar's injuries with professional skill while her scanner analyzed his alien physiology. Multiple fractures and severe internal bleeding, she reported to Turner. But nothing that can't be fixed with proper treatment. We'll need to get him to a medical bay within the next hour, or he might not survive. Do it, Turner ordered. Full medical treatment for all survivors. The Admiral wants them kept alive and healthy. As the medical team worked to stabilize Zexkar, he stared up at the human faces surrounding him. These were the same species his people had dismissed as weak and primitive. Yet they had just destroyed his entire raiding fleet in less than 20 minutes, and now they were saving his life. I do not understand, Zexkar said weakly as the medical team prepared to move him. Your intelligence reports were completely wrong. Your ships are not inferior. Your technology is not primitive. How did we get such bad information about human capabilities? Dr. Grant looked down at him as she adjusted his medical sensors. Those reports were probably about 50 years out of date. Humans tend to improve very rapidly when someone threatens us. We've been expecting attacks like yours for quite some time, and we've prepared accordingly. On the bridge of the Defiant Captain, Morrison was reviewing the complete battle reports with his senior staff. The entire engagement had lasted exactly 18 minutes from first shot to final surrender. It had been one of the most one-sided victories in recent human military history. The aliens never had a real chance, Lisa Brown observed as she studied. The tactical data. Their weapons technology was actually quite sophisticated, but their ships were too slow and their tactics were predictable. They fought like pirates raiding merchant vessels, not like professional military forces engaging in core. Prepared enemy. Danny Walsh was analyzing the wreckage of the destroyed alien ships through long-range sensors. Their hull materials were strong, and their engines were well designed. If they had caught a single unprepared human ship, they might have been able to capture it. But against a full battle group, they were completely outmatched. Morrison nodded, thoughtfully, which is exactly why we set this trap. Word of this defeat needs to spread throughout their empire and to any other hostile species that might be watching. Attacking human vessels isn't just dangerous anymore. It's completely suicidal. Amy Carter looked up from her communication station, where she had been monitoring alien emergency frequencies. Captain, I'm picking up distress signals from several Chorus ships and other systems. It sounds like they're reporting our battle. To their high command, the news is spreading fast. Good, Morrison replied. Let them tell everyone what happened here. The more alien species that hear this story, the fewer problems we'll have in the future. Admiral Kane's voice came over the fleet communication system. All ships, this is the Admiral. Excellent work today. We've sent a clear message that human space is not a hunting ground for pirates and raiders. Boarding operations are complete, and all surviving aliens are in custody. Medical teams report that most of the wounded will recover fully. We'll be escorting the captured vessels back to New Austin for processing. Morrison looked around his bridge at the faces of his crew. Each officer had performed their duties with skill and courage. They had helped deliver a victory that would be remembered throughout the galaxy for generations to come. 3 weeks after the battle, Zexkar found himself in a detention facility on the human colony world of New Austin. The medical treatment he had received was better than anything available in the Korath Empire, and his wounds had healed completely. This puzzled him almost as much as the devastating defeat his fleet had suffered in the asteroid field. The detention center was unlike any prison he had ever seen or heard about. His cell was comfortable with a soft bed, clean facilities, and regular meals that were actually quite good. The human guards treated him with professional respect rather than cruelty. Most surprising of all, he was allowed to communicate with other surviving members of his crew who were being held in similar conditions. Admiral Kane visited him on a bright morning when the colony's sun streamed through the reinforced windows of the facility. The human admiral looked relaxed and confident as he entered the cell and took a seat across from Zexkar at the small table. Your injuries appear to have healed well, Kane observed as he studied the former warlord. Our medical staff tells me you'll have no permanent damage from the battle. That's good news. Zexkar shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Why do you care about my health? In our culture, prisoners are kept alive only as long as they are useful. After that, they are disposed of quickly and efficiently. Because we're not. Your culture, Kane replied simply. Humans have different values and different ways of dealing with defeated enemies. We prefer to show mercy when possible, because it often leads to better outcomes for everyone involved. Better outcomes? Zexkar asked with genuine confusion. You won a complete victory. My fleet is destroyed, and my warriors are dead or captured. What better outcome could you possibly want? Kane leaned back in his chair and considered his words carefully. Peace. We want other species to know that while humans are capable of defending ourselves, we don't seek unnecessary conflict. Your defeat serves as an example, but your survival serves as proof that we can be reasonable. I still do not understand your logic, Zexkar said. If you release me, I will simply return to my people and prepare for revenge. That is what any Korath warrior would do. Will you? Kane asked with a slight smile. Think about what you've seen here. Our technology is clearly superior to yours. Our ships are faster and stronger. Our weapons are more accurate and more powerful. Our tactics are more sophisticated. If you come back looking for revenge, what do you think will happen to you?" Zexkar was quiet for a long moment as he considered the Admiral's words. The battle in the asteroid field had shown him just how outmatched his people really were. Human military capabilities were decades ahead of anything the Korath Empire possessed. A revenge attack would be pure suicide. "You're releasing me?" Eskar said slowly, as understanding dawned on his reptilian features. "You're sending me back to my people to tell them what happened here." "Exactly," Kane confirmed. "You and your surviving crew members will be given a ship and safe passage back to Korath space. In exchange, you're going to tell every species you encounter exactly what happened when you attacked a human vessel. You're going to explain that humans prefer peace, but are very good at war when necessary." The next day, Zexkar was escorted to a transport ship where his surviving crew members waited. There were only 237 of them left from the original force of nearly 1,500 warriors. Each survivor bore the mental scars of their devastating defeat, and many still seemed stunned by the experienced Dot as they departed. Human space, Zexkar looked back at the massive defense stations and patrol fleets that guarded the border. The humans had built an impressive military infrastructure, but what struck him most was their restraint in using it. They could have easily destroyed his entire fleet and executed all the survivors, but instead they had chosen mercy. "Commander," said his former weapons officer as they cleared the last human checkpoint, "what will we tell the High Council when we return? How do we explain such a complete defeat?" Zexkar stared out at the stars ahead and considered the question. "We tell them the truth. We tell them that human ships are not easy prey and that attacking them brings swift and terrible consequences. We tell them that humans are far more dangerous than our intelligence reports indicated." Word of the battle spread quickly through the galaxy's communication networks. The story grew in the telling, as stories often do. Some versions spoke of human ships that could become invisible at will. Others described weapons that could destroy entire fleets with a single shot. A few tailies claimed that humans could read minds and predict their enemies' every move, but the core facts remained the same in every telling. A small human force had completely destroyed a much larger alien-raiding fleet in a matter of minutes. The humans had shown overwhelming military superiority, followed by unexpected mercy. This combination of devastating power and surprising restraint sent shockwaves throughout the galactic community. On the bridge of the UES, defiant Captain Morrison was reading reports from intelligence officers throughout human space. The story of their victory was spreading faster than anyone had expected, and the reactions were exactly what they had hoped for. "Sir," Amy Carter reported from her communication station, "we're receiving diplomatic messages from dozens of alien governments. Most of them are expressing interest in trade agreements and non-aggression pacts. Several species that were previously hostile are now requesting formal meetings to discuss peaceful relations." Morrison smiled as he reviewed the diplomatic communications. "Excellent. It seems our message was received loud and clear. Sometimes the best way to achieve peace is to demonstrate that you're too dangerous to fight and too reasonable to provoke." Admiral Kane later wrote in his official report that the battle had accomplished far more than just defeating a single raiding fleet. It had established human military credibility throughout the galaxy, while also demonstrating human values and restraint. The combination proved to be a powerful diplomatic tool. Years later, when Zexkar had become an elder of his clan, he would tell young Korath warriors about the day he learned that humans were not the weak prey species they appeared to be. He would describe ships that struck like lightning and warriors who showed mercy to defeated enemies. Most importantly, he would warn them that attacking human vessels was not just tactically foolish, but strategically pointless. The galaxy learned that humans made poor victims, but excellent allies, and for generations. Afterward, human space remained peaceful and secure.